Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Friday, the 26th of June, 2026. Well done for making it this far. What is it, 666 today, is it? It's as hot as hell. It's as hot as hell. So yes, 26, 26, that's what it is today. Hello and welcome to the show. We do this every morning, pretty much, except on Sundays when I have a bit of a lie-in. We do it a bit later on. Hello to Diz and to Chris in the chat. Got Andy in there. So I got Richard Wood. Would he? Would you? Would you? Richard Wood. I wouldn't, but Richard would. Graham Haller in there. We've got L. We've got GM Lovely in the chat as well. Got Liam Fairhurst. Leap Shin. Hello. Good morning. Good morning to one. Good morning to all. If you'd like to join our friendly friends in the friendly chat, just hit the friendly subscribe button and wait for approximately 60 seconds, but don't be a troll. So, my name is Graham Hughes. Hello, welcome to Hughes of the World. I'm the Hughes. This is the world going on right now. And today we're going to be talking a bit about Burnham democracy and how the UK system actually freaking works. Because I'm finding it a little bit hypocritical of these politicians, especially the ones in the Tory party. and in Reform, saying, oh, we need to have a general election. We need to have a general election because we're changing our Prime Minister. We're changing our leader. We need to have a... Listen, look, you know, we often talk about our system here, our democratic system, and people say this is no democracy, this is no true, and it's a bit of a no true Scotsman fallacy, I feel, because the reality is, right, that every democracy around the world is a bit shonky. No one's got the perfect way of doing it. And especially when you're dealing with a country that is nearly 70 million people big, you're not going to keep everybody happy all of the time. But I'm seeing more and more like people just being completely absolutist about stuff, which is something that has been stoked up by the people on the right, but also the people on the left are a bit like this as well, especially Andy Burnham. There's people like, no, I hate him with a scorching white heat of 1,000 dying suns. And it's like, really? What? He's a liar. He's a traitor. He's a snake in the grass. I'm like, well, okay. Well, let's imagine that's all true. Is he more popular than Starmer? Yes. Is politics effectively a popularity contest? Yes. Is he the most likely guy to stop Farage from getting anywhere near number 10? Yes. He answers those questions for me, so I am willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. But let's talk about how the UK does not directly elect prime ministers. We don't have a presidential system. It's not like America directly elects their presidents anyway. It's indirect election for an American president. Although maybe that's the system that people want. I don't know. But for so many of the last US presidents on the Republican side have lost the public vote and yet become presidents anyway, which is crazy, but there you go. So yeah, a mid-parliament change of PM is not a constitutional outrage, you know. The Prime Minister is just merely the person, the MP, who is able to command the confidence of the main party in the House of Commons. Or even the leader of the party, of any party. It should be the person who can command the confidence of that party, you know, the MPs in that party. Not necessarily the members either. We'll get on to that. Richard! I thought Richard Wood. Richard Wood dropped the first super chat of the day. Thank you. Here's a tenner for mentioning my name. Yes, I really am that vain. Oh, thank you very much. I'll mention it some more then, Richard Wood. If it's gonna be a fabulous payout. Hey, that reminds me, I should load up the confetti cannon. I don't want to upset Diz. We are going to talk about the weather a little bit. If you want to talk about that in the chat, that's fine. I'll bring it up. So let me know how you're coping, how it's going where you are. Like I say, it's not too bad up here in Durham and in big Victorian refrigerator house. But it's 21. It's 21. I'm feeling it. I have no opinion on Burnham. I don't know him from manners. But I find the King of the North moniker as off-putting as the Gammon hero worshipping frog. Well, the King of the North, that was originally meant as a pejorative, like that was created by the Tories when COVID was happening, and he was, obviously Boris Johnson was having parties down in the south, and they were like, "Oh, he thinks he's the King of the North." And you know what? It's not really that great a title. I know we keep using it because it's kind of funny, but like in the Game of Thrones or the Song of Ice and Fire books, the King of the North doesn't spoilers, but the King of the North doesn't end well. Okay, doesn't. His reign does not end in glory, shall we say? But yeah, amid Parliament change of PM, it's not a conscious outrage. I just see it like bringing on a sub. A substitute, don't get kinky. A substitute in a football match. Do you know what I mean? Take off your striker, put someone else on. Someone who can score goals. That's what you need because you need to win the match. The important thing here is winning the match. And I like the idea of bringing some fresh ideas. I shared a video yesterday of Andy Burnham talking about setting up what would be a national care service. Like you got the National Health Service, a National Care Service, which is free at the point of delivery. And I've got a personal stake in this because of my dad with dementia. Like, it's horrible that people work and save all their lives, and then they get dementia, and suddenly their families are having to shell out £2,000 a week for them to get the care that they need. And what Andy Burnham's idea on this is, what you do is then you ratchet up the amount of inheritance tax that a person has to pay. Well, they don't have to pay; they'll be dead once they cark it. You have some kind of mechanism where you pay a percentage back to the state for the care that you've been given, and everyone should pay it. It shouldn't just be like the people who were unfortunate enough to get dementia. But at the moment, we talked about when Theresa May was wanting to bring in a dementia tax in the election in 2017, she did bring in a dementia tax. If you get dementia, look, having the carers come 4 times a day or being put in a specialist home, it's £2,000 a week. £2,000 a week until you run out of money. You have to sell the family home to pay for it. It's horrible. If you get another debilitating illness, you don't have the same penalty put upon you. It's a complete lottery and it's completely unfair. And when it comes to care, actually, when someone's got dementia, the care is basically, cleaning them, looking after them, making sure they don't get bed sores. It's not really, really expensive. Chemotherapy, radiotherapy, immunotherapy. And it just seems really mad that we say, okay, well, we'll have these very expensive specialist treatments for people who are, dying of cancer, have cancer, aren't going to live for another, 5 years or whatever it is, but they'll get the treatment that allows them to live a little bit longer and eke out a bit of life in those last few years of their life. And that'll be paid for under the National Health Service. But we don't have anything equivalent. I watched this video of Andy Burnham saying this, and I'm like, new ideas. This is what we need. Not just his funny video that he replied to Kemi Badenoch with earlier this week, but just a bit of fresh, a breath of fresh air. Because Labour, just 2 years in, it looks really, really stale. But yeah, press reform now. Okay, I don't have a reform button. I should get a little reform button for my little stream deck here. I've got a confetti button. Way! Do you know what? In future, maybe I should pick this up and press the button because it's more dramatic, isn't it? It's like letting off the dynamite. Maybe I should get myself a plunger. I should get a plunger and it goes down and then it says confetti on the screen. That'll be cool. I had the same with my mum after the stroke. Social changed their mind about us paying when I dropped a very unsubtle hint that I work for a law firm. Yeah. Chris says, okay, the Daily Mail is spreading disinformation again. Oh, that makes a change. What are they saying? They are running a story that Labour is about to set scores of killers and rapists free halfway through their sentences. No, they're not. They're not. And anyway, I mean, halfway through a sentence, you come up for parole anyway. So is it that? A person I know was sectioned before they got dementia, and therefore the family did not need to pay for their care. Yeah. I mean, it's really grim. It's really fucking grim, the state of the care sector in this country, and it does need a big change. And I think that for a tax to be put on people once they're not with us anymore is fair enough, especially if it's paying for their care at the end of life care, which isn't happening at the moment. If you get Alzheimer's, it is happening if you get cancer, but not if you get Alzheimer's. And here's the thing, like, you know, that like I say, compared with the medical procedures that you have to go through if you have other degenerative or fatal, you know, illnesses or chronic illnesses, dementia's not much to do with it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't get brain surgery. They don't, after a while, they stop giving you drugs. There's no point. They just go, just leave it. Cost of care, £2,000. Cost of staff, £50. Cost of consumables, £10. Gross profit, £1,940. Profit after tax to overseas corporation, £1,940, says. And PJ, 2006. I couldn't agree more. My friend, I could not agree more. It is absolutely disgusting. And it's why it should be brought in-house. And I like the idea. Also, what Andy Burnham said in this interview, I should just play it. Should just fucking play it? Should just play the interview? Go on, I'll just and then we can talk about it, I guess. And then I can wibble on about what was I going to talk about why it's not particularly undemocratic to change horses mid-flow. Reform Lead has collapsed with the Burnham bounce, which is good. So let's see if I can make this full screen. Okay, this is a few minutes, so we're going to watch it together. Unfortunately, it's been filmed in portrait mode, so it's going to be a lot of black on the screen, but that's just the way it's like that, and that's the way it is. Sorry. Yeah, clearly haven't had my Weetabix this morning. Okay, so here's his Burnham. Oh, do you know what would help if I turn the fucking sound on for you? There you go. In my generation of politicians,
there's a complete cowardice on these issues.
Wow.
Yeah, it is a wow thing because it is that bad. I mean, I lived it. I mean, bear in mind, I lived it trying to raise social care in Whitehall. It made me an outsider for even trying to do something.
So what was your plan that you were trying to raise, just for those that don't know? In fact, for me, because I don't think I fully know, were you trying to integrate? So, tell me exactly
what you did. I mean, I was, in very simple terms, I was making the argument for social care to be provided on NHS terms.
What does that mean exactly?
So free at the point of use. Yeah.
Wow,
and,
that would be great.
But what I was kind of make the argument for was whether you have it as a national care service alongside a national health service or whether you have a national health and care service. What I was saying was you have a continuum of care on NHS terms that goes from home to hospital and back again and is about the whole person. So you look at people's physical, mental and social needs as one and not, as the current system tries to do, deal with physical needs in one place and mental in another and then social in a completely different system altogether. That's what I was saying. And I made the argument that rather than be exposed to unlimited care costs, well, I say unlimited, can be pretty much unlimited down to that threshold of £23,000, whatever it is. I was saying that nobody should pay any care charges while they're alive. But what we should do in return is have a modest contribution from what they leave behind that is a percentage contribution linked to what they have. Okay. And therefore you wouldn't get the randomness of the system where some people like my dad or someone else who's unlucky enough to get quite severe dementia and Alzheimer's, well, they get wiped out completely, don't they, by the current system?
Savings wise, you mean? And financially.
And then somebody who just doesn't have that isn't wiped out. And I was saying, that social care in England is as unfair as US healthcare because it just takes people out randomly, doesn't it, linked to how unfortunate they are. And I was saying that's completely counter to the NHS principle.
Yeah.
And until we have a system in this country that supports people with dementia, as well as it supports and treats people with cancer, then we haven't got a fair system in the 21st century. Does today's generation of politicians have the wherewithal to advance big solutions to the things that are obviously wrong in our society? And, I hope I can be proved wrong at some point, but I'm still worrying that today's political culture does not support that type of thinking.
And I think that's what it needs. We talked about a carer feeling like there's all these different services, they're not joined up. Well, that would help with that problem that you have. I myself have been in that situation that you're talking about, where I ended up researching and finding a care company that actually will come for almost the full hour. And their staff seem to have that time and the patience and what you were talking about that your mum needed. But in order to pay for that, we have to pay for it because mum made the mistake of saving for her old age, I suppose, is which that generation did. And that's okay. It should go on her care. She made provision, but the cost of it is so extortionate that I don't know how sustainable that will be. And then what happens when she can't have it anymore? So there's all that worry.
You get whittled down to that threshold, don't you? And then you get state.
Then you go back
support.
onto the 15 minutes, and then eventually, that's just going to end up with her.
It doesn't work in any way, shape, or form, does it? But even
it doesn't.
From that more economic point of view, about it almost, you could say, will increasingly create the wrong incentive. People say, well, I won't bother saving for my retirement because I might lose it all. I don't get rewarded for having done that.
Yeah.
So it's just not a sustainable situation, is it? And there's no solution for the NHS without a solution for social care.
Okay, so that was it. I just wanted to share that with you because I thought it was really powerful. Oh, the squeaky tank is back. Sorry about that. I just thought that again, like just hearing a politician saying this is the problem, here's a possible solution to it. It's not saying I've got all the answers. It's going to be, this is how I'm going to implement it, whatever. But bringing these ideas into Parliament, bringing them into the government, and bringing them into cabinet, I think is a really powerful thing to happen. And I think what is going to happen with Andy Burnham, and I hope that I'm right on this, I am willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. I just hope that people feel like they did when a new person took over the Tory party, which was like, oh, it's a new party now. It's the same people in a different order, but it's a whole new party. Every time they got a new person in, it was a bit. Is it the mental health service the right? Is the mental health service the right place for dementia patients? No, they're not, because they don't need mental health support. They don't need medication. They don't need cognitive behavioral therapy. They just need they need nurses. They need care workers to come and change the bedclothes and, clean them up and get them out of bed and take them for a walk, or, sit them in a chair for a few hours and put them back to bed. It's a horrible situation. It really is a horrible situation, but it doesn't need to be an expensive one. But the way it is run at the moment, these care companies are making out like bandits. We need to wealth tax, not cash. The rich get away with paying nothing because you don't tax loans. Yeah, that's quite famous that they do that. Meanwhile, Buckingham Palace is due to undergo a £369 million refurbishment funded by the public. Hang on, Chris. I thought that happened. I thought that was the last 10 years. What, we're having another refurbishment on top of the refurbishment we just had? Yet the royal family will never live there again. Well, I don't know, Chris. I'm sorry. I didn't get that story that you got. I thought that the renovations have been done. And Charlie had said, no, I'm going to live in Clement's house down the road because Buckingham Palace is a bit of a nightmare. And also, it means that you can open it up to the public for longer throughout the year because you'll only use it on state occasions. And as for the money for the refurbishment, if it was just the Queen or the King's personal fucking lodgings or whatever, I would be a bit like, what the fuck? But don't forget, this building is open to the public, or part of it are. And I think we should spend money on our prestige buildings in this country. And I hope that the same people who are happy that we spend that much on Buckingham Palace, the royalists, whatever, I hope they're happy that we spend an equivalent amount of money saving local churches that roofs are falling in and falling into rack and ruin. Buckingham Palace is the world's biggest council house. That's very true, Jenny Robertson. That's very true. They're doing more refurbishing on Buck House. Doing more. Bloody hell. Okay. Yeah, Bucks has been done, but the monarch won't live there. Okay, Spherelands, GM Lovely. You've written the opposite things there. You're not helping me. Does someone know which way this goes? I'll look it up later. Because I was going to talk about that a bit later on, but I wanted to get back to my first point about I don't really care. There's not going to be a leadership election, and I'm going to tell you why. Because Andy Burnham win it anyway. I said that in the thumbnail. Who cares? He'll win. They put it to the members. He'll win. There's no other Labour MP that people are going to vote for more than him. And it's just going to make this whole transition period just rumble on and on until next September. And I can't be arsed with that. I ain't got time for that. You got time for that? We've got less than 3 years now until the next general election. Less than 3 years to stop Farage in his tracks. But yeah, people are like, oh no, it's a constitutional outrage. And I'm like, in my lifetime, John Major, Gordon Brown, Theresa May, Boris Johnson, Liz Truss, and Rishi Sunak all entered number 10 between general elections. Like, the May and Johnson called elections later on, but neither of them had a fresh general election before becoming PM. It doesn't work. That's not the way the system works. Brown became the Labour leader and Prime Minister unopposed in 2007, just handed to him. And Sunak became Conservative leader in 2022 after Truss resigned. And here's a point as well that I'd like to make. And don't get upset with me on this, because if you still think the last guy who ran Labour was any good. Like, party member ballots are not automatically more democratic in practice. So Labour's 2015 leadership contest, in which Andy Burnham lost, included a £3 registered supporter route where where people literally from any political stripe and any country, they were using a VPN and they had a British, credit card or some British bank account. If you had a bank account in Britain, you could vote for who was going to be the leader of Labour, and you're not going to vote for the person who might win an election, are you? You vote for the guy who's definitely going to lose the election. But just to go back to the point about the benefit of the doubt, like, there's people who get like, I'm going to give him 24 hours. I'm going to give him 24 hours. And if he doesn't do this, and this, then he can fuck off. He's just as bad as Farage. And I'm like, okay. Well, he's fucked, isn't he? I'm just like, what do you want me to do? Like, he's not going to do all that. Set him up to fail. Unless you do all these things. Unless, Santa brings all my presents. There is no Santa. I've got to stop believing in you. But yeah, I just considering the previous leader of Labour, right? I was told, right, to give him the benefit of the doubt after the fraudulent defeat. Benefit of the doubt. After the 2012 general election defeat, benefit of the doubt. After losing hundreds of councillors in 2018, losing more in 2019, and then even better on the 2019, losing the EU elections, then only getting 14% of the vote. Benefit of the doubt. He's got to see the course. Benefit of the doubt, and then he obviously lost in a landslide defeat to Boris Johnson. And we can whine and complain about how the system's not fair and how he got more votes and blah, 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 blah. But the reality is, if it was a popular vote, he would have lost. End of. Worst drubbing for a Labour Party in an election since 1935. And all of us who are like, okay, can we stop giving him the benefit of the doubt now? No. No. Apparently not. Here we are years later. No, he's still amazing. And then he sets up his own party. The Your Party fiasco. And I'm like, are we still giving this guy the benefit of the doubt? Okay. And it is weird the way, if it's someone that we like, then if they stand up and say one good thing, we'll refer to that forever. Remember that one good thing? They said that one good thing. Whereas if someone that we hate, They can say 99 good things. They say one bad thing or misspeak on the radio once. And it's like, oh, you bastard. I'll never forgive you. I'll never forgive. And it's a bit like, I don't know. I kind of just want to sort of calm down a little bit. I don't know if we can. But it's kind of like this febrile atmosphere at the moment in politics all around the world. And I don't know. I'm kind of a bit sick of it. I just want us to calm down and go, okay, well, can we balance this out, right? I'm not going to give him the benefit of the doubt beyond the next election. If Andy Burnham doesn't win the next election for Labour, I want him out. I want him gone. Okay, that's my loyalty. I'll drop him like a hot rock. Okay, if there's another pandemic and he has a load of parties, right? I'm not going to defend him having parties. I'm not going to say he was surprised by cake. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say fuck off. I'm going to drop him like a hot rock. I'll give you an example. John Bercow, the former Speaker of the House. I loved him when he was Speaker of the House. He was a Tory, but he was a really good Speaker of the House. During the Brexit wars, he was really effective at getting the Tories to shut the fuck up. But then it turned out that he'd been bullying his staff. And I said to someone close to me who may or may not have worked with him in the past, is he like that? And they said, no, not to me, but I had heard stories about his treatment of other people. And I was like, okay, that's all the evidence I need. Drop him like a hot stone. That's it. I'm done. I have no loyalty to these people. I don't know them. They're not my mates. They're not my friends. They're not people that I worship or look up to. They say something stupid or do something stupid, I'm going to say that was a stupid thing to do. And that's actually the sign of a good friend. The worst friend you could possibly have is someone who just worships the ground that you walk on and tells you you're great all the time. You don't develop that way. It's ridiculous. Was it Socrates who talked about that? Something like that. What can AB do to fix the economy? This couldn't. Rejoin the EU. Burnham doesn't have the same red lines as Starmer. I'm not saying it'll be easy, but yeah, rejoin the EU. Rejoin the single market. Rejoin the customs union. There is going to be a meeting with the EU at the end of next month, I think. So yeah, he'll be Prime Minister then. So yeah. Burnham was clearly the better candidate 10 years ago. Yes, Diz. That's why I voted for him. And do you know what? For the first year, I did give the benefit of the doubt of the new leader. But when he lost the fraudulendum, and I feel like he did not put any effort into it, he went on holiday. There was a poll done a few days before the fraudulendum in June 2016. There was a poll done which showed that half of all Labour voters didn't know whether Labour was for or against leaving the EU. Now, we talk about how shit Sir Keir Starmer's comms have been, and oh my God, they've been shit. But at least people kind of know what Labour want to do. You know, they might not know about their achievements, but they know the sort of direction of travel, I guess. I mean, I thought that was criminal. That was the point where I was like, this guy's got to go. And at that point, all of his cabinet resigned. Like, everyone said, we don't want you to be our leader because we don't think you can win the next election. And he stayed on. He clung on like a fucking barnacle to the hull of a ship. And it was just like, what are you doing? Why are you hanging? No, I alone can fix everything. Like, you give someone else a chance. Yeah, he gave you a chance and you blew it. And then less than a year later, the general election, he loses to Theresa May. She was like the worst prime minister. Not just one of the worst prime ministers until the next one, but she was like really, 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 really bad at like running a campaign. The campaign in April, May 2017 was absolutely dog shit. It was terrible. And yet, friends, the Tories still won. They had to team up with the Ulster Unionist scum, but you know, they still won. Unbelievable. But no, we had to keep him after that. I was like, what is even happening? And I always felt I was getting gaslit from both sides. The Tories just gaslit you all the time, like Brexit was going to be amazing and told lies about that. But on our side, on the left, there were just so many gaslighters going, no, you're wrong. You're wrong because he's made all these people join the party. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck about how many members we've got. It's voters we need. And we need voters across the board. We need to get people who will not necessarily be a natural Labour voter to come and vote for Labour, maybe for the first time in their life. And this guy ain't going to get them to do that. Yeah, but the newspapers were really mean to him. Have you seen how they wear his Starmer? Do you see how they wear with their Miliband? He couldn't even eat bacon fucking sarnie. I mean, they went after his dead dad, for fuck's sake. Oh, the papers were really mean to him. You only believe that because you read the papers. The papers. I'm like, no, I believe it because I was there on the front line, marching, like organising fucking marches against the Tory flagship policy of Brexit. Did we get any support from Labour leadership? No, did we? Fuckaroonie. Yeah. Another white nonce that the media has ignored, the unionist leader. Yes, Jeffrey Donaldson. He went down for being a massive fucking nonce, and there were no riots. Funny that. Anyway, Diz says I left when the previous leader was elected. He who shall not be named on this channel. One Ramesses says, I did tell him to his face he was not an awful person, but as Labour leader, he did, and what he did, not a person, yeah, but yeah, he was an awful leader. He still is. Look at your party. I mean, you want more evidence of him not being a very good leader of people. Never mind the country, just a leader of a group of people. He just. You Scancy, Phil, will Labour comms in 2024. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm not that popular. I think Tan and Phil have got loads more people watching them. But thank you very much for the super chat there, Maggie Pie 20 Swedish Krona. Hey, talking of popularity, you know, yesterday we were doing the thing about that post that I put up about Farage needing to be investigated by the Serious Fraud Office. I'm happy to say it made me a bit of money. It made me a bit of money, like not like a crazy amount, but more than my videos make on here. Like if I'd done a single video, I would not have made as much money as I made from that single post because all the gams and all the bots just jumped on it and went, I love Nigel, leave Nigel alone. But I tell you what, it scares them. I feel like that bit in Starship Troopers where he's like, it's afraid, and they're all like, yeah. The Alistair Darling effect. Anyone taking bets as to how quickly Andy Burnham's hair will turn white as Liebchen? Yeah, it does happen, doesn't it? I believe Ed Miliband was to blame for that a lot. Shame his brother didn't win. Would have been a different story. Who knows? What was that for the Labour £3 fucking con where you could pay £3 and vote? It really pissed me off. That really, at that point, I'd been a member of Labour. It was after I left uni, so it would have been about 14, 15 years or something. I'd been a member of Labour, and yeah, all of my subs, all of my £3 a month for 15 years made no difference to the amount of votes I got compared with someone who just literally paid £3 so they could vote for someone who was absolutely 100% unelectable as a leader. Anyone see the new conversion therapy ban bill? Massive holes in it to allow conversion therapy on trans people, says Black Dot Dot. Oh, fucking hell. Really? Well, that was one of the small fucking little bits of light on the fucking, the tunnel of trans hatred. I thought they were actually going to make it so that the conversion therapy was completely banned. That is fucking disgraceful. That's true. Yeah, Diz is saying, yeah, it's a disgrace and an insult. Fucking hell. So that's got me down. Surely any conversion therapy counts as brainwashing. Yeah, Andy. Yeah, absolutely. Gallifreyan Ren, if you listen very carefully, you can hear the sound of me being uneffing surprised. Let's have a look at this. Conversion therapy. I can't type today. It's too hot to type. Government pushes forward with conversion therapy bans. The Cabinet Office said the bill will ensure LGBT plus people are protected from physical and psychological abuse to change who they are. Let's see if we can find some critique on this. The Spectator is saying Labour's conversion therapy bill is extremely dangerous. Go fuck yourself. Sex Matters are upset about it. So there you go. That's a win. Draft conversion practices bill threatens parents with jail time. Okay, cool. Yeah, if you're not a very good parent. Unheard doesn't like it as well. Labour's conversion therapy bill is not fit for purpose. Pink News. Okay, I'll have a look on Pink News. But on Pink News, problematic. It's a problem. Like literally everyone who makes anything online is problematic in some way. UK government publishes trans-inclusive draft bill to ban conversion therapy. Okay, so this was yesterday. Announced, published a draft bill, blah, 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 after committing to do so earlier this year in the King's Speech. While this is positive news for LGBTQ plus people in the UK, it's just the start of the process. Stonewall and Ban Conversion Practices Coalition will be reviewing the legislation to make sure it includes. Also, there's okay. This sends a clear message to LGBTQ people that they don't have to change who they are. Says Simon Blake, CEO of Stonewall. Okay, you'll have to walk me through what the issues are as well. I'm proud that Stonewall has played a key role in this campaign and will continue to work hard to ensure the ban is comprehensive and there are no loopholes which could allow for this abuse to continue. So what are the loopholes? Labour have an international LGBT conference next year. They want to point to some things that they have done rather than banning trans people from loos. Well, I mean, this draft advice, which is gonna become law in a few days' time, by the looks of things. It's gonna be a fucking disaster. It's gonna be an absolute fucking disaster because all the people are gonna do is take the signs off the fucking doors of the toilets. That's what we're gonna do. That's what I'll do. That's what everyone would do. If you're a mad transphobe because you don't want to be sued by a trans person who can't go for a piss in your establishment. Litigation's going to go through the roof. I'm on the train this morning with aircon and Wi-Fi cooler than my home, says Gillian. Yeah. If only they were cheaper. If a man made the type of comments that Badenoch did in PMQs about Burnham's eyelashes, etc., it would be a sign of misogyny. That woman is just vile. Wow. I mean, I thought Burnham managed to turn it around a bit. And so did Bridget Phillipson. I believe they're selling T-shirts now, aren't they? Let's say that she's a vindictive class warrior or whatever she was called by the Kemi Badenoch, and that was really in bad taste. Not least because at the time, Bridget Phillipson, and I know we're not massive fans of Bridget Phillipson on this channel, but she didn't have a right to response on that. It's just being attacked by someone and you're not allowed to stand up and say, hey, fuck off. There you go. I think Gendered Intelligence have commented on the draft bill. Okay. But hey, Burnham will fix everything, right? Rolls eyes. No, Gallifreyan Ren. No, Burnham won't. No, and I'm not saying that. Please don't think for a moment that I think he's the fucking Messiah. He's not. He'll make mistakes. He'll fuck up. He'll make some things worse. Of course he will. You would. I would. Anyone would. There'll be groups in society that we're not even thinking about that, are important to other people, but, way down on the order of merit in our brains just because we don't come across these people every day in everyday life. I'm not sure they're doing too much for the Zoroastrians at the moment in this country. My point is that I wouldn't like to have the job at the moment of being Prime Minister of this country. It looks like a fucking nightmare, an absolute fucking nightmare. And the reason why I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt until he lets me down, which he might, But I'm telling you now, if he does to, a ridiculous amount like what the previous leader did, then I'm out. Be calling for his resignation. I think the main thing is that he needs to keep Farage out of politics. There you go. Transactional. Okay, thanks. Thank you, Black Dot Dots. Doing my what's it called? Googling. Bill to ban conversion practices reads like an instruction manual for abuse. Oh, bloody hell. The UK government has today published a draft bill on banning conversion therapy in England and Wales. After 8 long years of promises to bring an effective ban, we'll be waiting longer yet. Rather than ban conversion practices completely, the government has introduced so many loopholes that it has practically written an instruction manual on how to get away with conversion abuse. Under the government's draft bill, this torturous practice will be allowed to continue in healthcare settings, regulated and unregulated alike. That's completely fucking useless then, isn't it? The bill also makes a distinction between conversion practices and abusive conversion practices, when in reality no such distinction exists. There is no version of conversion abuse that is not abuse. Yeah. And it's worrying that the government appears to believe that conversion practices in some circumstances are acceptable. The draft bill does not explicitly enable a person to consent to conversion abuse, but it does require that victims of conversion practices demonstrate they have experienced serious harm or distress as a result, leaving it to judges with no expertise in conversion abuse to decide if the law has been broken. The government has proudly announced that the recent years that the ban will be trans-inclusive, but with so many carves out for conversion practices to continue, the point is the draft bill enabling the very practice is supposed to prevent, while it does ban some forms of conversion practices, it also paves the way for a cottage industry of conversion abusers posing as therapists and healthcare practitioners. The government's draft bill is too weak to be effective and enables state-sanctioned conversion practices to go ahead in the right circumstances with the right approach, legitimizing conversion abuse dressed up as neutral healthcare. We will continue to monitor the situation and advocate alongside others in the sector for a real end to all conversion abuse in the UK. Okay, so it's important that we recognise that this is a draft bill, and we can get politicians, we can get MPs on side to make sure that these loopholes are taken out before it becomes law, and it's going to be a 2-year process to become law usually. So yeah, if you've already written to your MP about the bathroom ban draft guidance bullshit, and you've had a positive response, and maybe they've even signed up to the Stella Creasy and Nadia Whittam's early day motion against that, maybe get in touch with them and say, hey, can you have a look at this now, please, and make sure that these loopholes are closed. But at the very least, it started the process of going through to become law. And like this article says on transactional, it's 8 years too late. Well, it's fucking 30 years too late, but yeah, it's something that really, really needs to be stopped, because it is abuse. It's absolute abuse. It's the equivalent of making someone who's left-handed, forcing them to write with their right hand, and if they don't do it, you hit them. Also making someone who fancies brunettes, make them fancy blondes instead. Do you know what I mean? Like, what are you going to do? Strap them to a chair like Clockwork fucking Orange and show them porn with blonde people in? I mean, what the fuck? It's just bizarre. Absolutely fucking bizarre. Or actually, it's not even just a sexual thing. It's like forcing someone who doesn't like peanut butter to eat peanut butter. Like, what? How is that legal? How is that possible? Like, I don't want someone who doesn't like Marmite. We're going to have Marmite conversion therapy. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's that potty, isn't it? Maggie Pie, thank you very much for the 50 Swedish krona. That's very kind of you. I think Nigel should have some rather invasive and private medical exams publicly on Parliament Square at this point. Not literally, but pound-wise. Yeah. I think he needs to have some exams on where his money's come from. One Ramesses says, I'm not beholden to any Labour leader. I just want to win. Though I was a very big Blair fan. He did win 3 times. Though he did make mistakes, of course, but did a lot of good for the country. Yeah. I often think of it like, there's a great line in the TV show Narcos, which is about the rise and the downfall of, well, at least the first 3 series. First 2 series, was it? Were about the rise and the downfall of Pablo Escobar. At the time, the richest man in the world, from his drug dealing. There's a great line in it where the goodie is talking to the baddie, essentially. And they said the difference is the goodies only need to get lucky once, and the baddies have to stay lucky all the time. They only have to get unlucky once. And I feel like that in politics, you know, the Tories, they get away with absolute fucking murder because they're, you know, their supporters are more forgiving, which is crazy, isn't it? We're supposed to be the nice people, the people who, you know, not necessarily Christians, but take on the idea that like people can make mistakes and we can give them a chance, we can give them the benefit of the doubt. But on the left, no. Fucking the right are way better at that than we are. Look at the fact that they just forgive Trump of all the horrible things he did. Don't forget, Nigel Farage is back in politics after he foisted Brexit on us. After he, you know, you got this £5 million bung. You've got 6,500 people writing on my Facebook page how much they fucking love him. Look at me, Nigel. I love you, Nigel. You know, there's nothing they can do. There's nothing they can do that will turn these people against them. Whereas on the left, unless it's someone like the previous leader of Labour who had a little cult around him. But like most leaders, like, no, you do one thing. You got to do this, and this. And you fuck up on one particular thing. That's it. You're done. I'm gonna hold it against you for life. You said that thing in that interview, you bastard. How dare you? But yeah, to just go back to this whole hypocrisy. I want to talk about Nigel Farage, right? I don't really want to talk about him, actually. I don't want to talk about Nigel Farage, but I will. He replaced Richard Tice as refuck leader in June 2024. Was there a public mandate for that? Were the members of refuck allowed to vote on that? No, they fucking weren't. They just changed out the leader. They just did it. When Generic and Suella Braverman defected to refuck in January this year, did they have a by-election? No. The system allows you to use the funds from the members of one party, get yourself elected, and then immediately fuck off to another party or just make up your own party. The circular firing squad. Yeah. And I'm not saying that we should forgive our leaders or forgive anyone on the left of all the horrible things that they might do. But I'm saying there needs to be some kind of middle ground here. Because on the right, they're absolute. They're absolutely absolute that the leader can do no wrong. No matter what they do, it's always the right thing to do. You know, Trump blows $440 million of taxpayers' money in America on a reflecting pool refurb that's done by some dodgy guy who looks like the motherfucking penguin from Batman. And like, they're like, oh no, but it was vandals, it was this, it was that. You know, January the 6th, oh, they were just having a tour of the Capitol, they weren't doing any harm. Oh yeah, there's people who died. Oh, well, they would have died anyway. You know, people die. But on the left, it's zero tolerance as well. But the other direction, you know, zero tolerance for any dissent on the right, zero tolerance for anything getting anything wrong. And we swarm like a pack of fucking locusts on these people. How dare you? How dare you have said this thing? And we do it. And it's funny almost because the vitriol against Keir Starmer, he's shit comms. And he didn't do enough for trans people. I completely get that. But the venom against him was really disproportionate. It really was. Even if you personally hate him more than you hate Nigel Farage, which is, in my book, that's kind of crazy. Nigel Farage isn't. He's not going to bring in conversion practices. He's actually going to get rid of the. He's going to take us out of the European Convention on Human Rights. And once he does that, once he gets rid of the Gender Equality Act, once he gets rid of the Equality Act 2010, once he gets rid of the Human Rights Acts of 1997 and beyond, that's it. You can be sacked from your job for being trans. But you can't at the moment. It's still a protected characteristic. If someone sacks you for being trans, you can take them to a tribunal and take them to court. He's going to take that away. I don't think it can't get worse. It can't possibly get worse. It can. It absolutely can. And it will. And it won't just be trans people. It'll be gay people. It'll be black people. Brown people. It'll be Muslims. It'll be Jews. It'll be women who are going through menopause. It'll be women who just had a miscarriage. It'll be anyone who's had a relative who just died and wants to take a day off work. You know, these people, I don't know. I feel like a lot of the time on this channel I just spend going, yeah, I would like Labour to do better. I really, really would like them to do better, and I want to push them towards doing better. I just don't feel like the way to do that is just to scream at them that they're scum and they should all F off and die. I think the better way of doing it is just keeping at them while they're in power. Because the way things are going, yeah, we could have a Farage-led government in a few years' time. We don't know what's going to happen. I can tell you this for sure: if that dickhead over the pond, Trump, if he's still alive in a couple of years' time, he's going to run again for the third term, absolutely, and he'll be backed up on it by the Supreme Court. Sit down, Diz, says Martin Harrow. Oh, thank you. It means I get to do this. Here we go, Martin Harrow. Thank you very much. I get to press the big confetti button. Thank you, Martin. Thank you. Yeah. And the thing is, like, I don't want to be defending Labour. I don't want to be defending them. Like, I don't feel like it's my job. I don't know what my job is, but it shouldn't be this. It shouldn't be like running comms for a party that's, not doing such bad comms itself. But yeah, maybe there is somewhere we can meet in the middle. I don't know. But yeah, Burnham becoming Prime Minister next month isn't uniquely undemocratic. It's just the Westminster system. And we might not like the Westminster system, but it's a system that we've got. Burnham might well be up for bringing in proportional representation, which I think he will do in the next Parliament. I don't think he's going to bring it in before the next election. I just don't think he's going to have time, to be honest with you. There's other stuff that needs doing. He's going to get on with that. But if people want directly elected prime ministers or mandatory by-elections after defections or automatic general elections after a PM changes, it means constitutional reform. It doesn't mean a special rule invented, so that's the case, but only when Labour does it. And then we've got also in the news today. It doesn't matter who's in charge. It seems they all hate trans or too scared to back trans rights. I think they think they can wash us all away. No trans, a lot of caskets. Look, I know why you feel that way. I completely do. But I don't want you to catastrophize this. There's more than 150 MPs who have signed an early day motion saying this guidance, this transphobic guidance from the transphobic inequalities and human wrongs commission is wrong and should be unapproved. This should get disapproved. That's a big chunk of Parliament. 150 MPs. That's more than every single Tory MP and every single refucker and every single DUP or Ulster Unionist and every Restore MP put together. That's a lot of MPs. Don't feel like you haven't got any support. You genuinely do. It's not just this channel, and I know we don't talk about it enough, but there are channels headed up by trans people. There are channels that are headed up by trans allies that are set up for the protection of trans people. And I know that you feel quite rightly that you're being put upon. There's groups that have spent a lot of money, oil companies and etc. The Heritage Foundation have spent a shitload of money. We're talking millions, possibly billions of dollars on formulating this hatred towards trans people. We've seen it. We've seen it in the news. We've seen it, in people's Facebook feeds. 10 years ago, they never wrote anything about trans people. They didn't even think about it. And then suddenly it was all they could think about. Almost as though like there was some kind of mad hype. The thing that everyone's into today. What's it called? A fad. Latest fad. Hating trans people. But don't feel like there's no one out there. Don't think there's no one in politics as there is. There genuinely is. And they're just as disgusted as you are and I am about what the motion of traffic on this. But please don't feel like you're alone. And you're certainly not alone on this channel because we support you. We've got a lot of supporters in the chat, and we love Elle's jokes and hilariously rude connotations in her messages. It's starting to look like Phillipson and looks like Starting and Phillipson are starting. Streeting. It looks like Streeting and Phillipson are starting to backside on their transphobia. I think Phil was right about cabinet responsibility. It was Starmer. Well, I'm hoping that Burnham will change things. I hope he does. I really hope he does. Okay, Graham, and what's that done? I don't know. I honestly, I don't know. I'm not saying it's got to cure everything and make everything wonderful. I'm just saying that it's not the case that absolutely all 650 members of parliament are all out to get trans people. They're not. Some of them are. A minority is. Like most people, it's not top of their agenda. Sex Matters is at ARC, Graham, and protecting women. Is that conference they're having this week? Black Dot. Is that it? Is that conference they're having this week in Olympia? Yeah, no, Sex Matters is there, and is an LGBT Alliance or something, whatever. Maggie Pie, thank you very much for the 20 Swedish krona. Do you think the red lines killed Sir Keir Starmer's ambitions? It's a good question. I don't know, Maggie. I think it was just one of the many, death by 1,000 cuts with Starmer. He fucked up. Like, I've got sympathy for him on a human level, but like the reality wasn't a very good. I don't think he was a good leader. I think he was a good leader, as in he got his party behind him. He took the wreckage of Labour at the end of 2019, and he managed to turn it around and make it electable by the next general election, which is an impressive feat, and he should be applauded for doing that. And he kept all this, he kept quite a tight ship on his cabinet and on his MPs, even though MPs would rebel against him if he was doing something incredibly daft, like going after disabled people. But he's just a shit communicator. He was just a terrible, terrible communicator. Yeah. Public opinion is important. Transphobes lose their power at the moment. Anyone who tries to defend trans are attacked. Yeah, that's Sean. Well, Mamasi says that some in the trans community have made their cause toxic. No, they haven't. I'm sorry. I've got to push back on that. They haven't. This is stories made up by people who are, anti-trans to say, look, all trans people are bad. And it's usually like one story a year about one trans person doing something fucking horrible. If we did that for white people, oh my God, there'd be a story every day. There'd be a story like every single day. Look at this white person doing this dreadful thing. They represent all trans people. They're not helping themselves, these white people. But you could also say that about any ethnic group, any minority. If someone in that minority group, like a Sikh, goes and kills somebody, like happened a few weeks, happened in December, didn't it? But, the guy went down 2 weeks ago for it. It's not reflective on the community as a whole, but you've got bad actors and people in the media, people in the news who are being paid a fuck ton of money to just literally all day and every day come out with transphobic content in their newspapers, in their websites or whatever. They're being paid by the oil companies to do this because the oil companies want us fighting amongst ourselves instead of actually doing something about the fact that we've just had the hottest June day on record 3 days in a row. I'm a cynic and don't love anyone very much, but I hate it when anyone who can't defend themselves is singled out for cruel and unusual punishment because privileged people say they should be. Yeah. I think Reeves, with her fiscal rules and obsession to slash welfare budget, has also played a passive part in Starmer's downfall. Yeah. Ramses, no, you say I'm not sure you agree. For the trans community, the last 10 years have been hell. Before then, you didn't see any news stories about trans people, except that time that Nadia won Big Brother with the highest vote share ever in the history of, highest number of votes ever in the history of Big Brother. I think we've got to look at what we've read and what we've seen and what we've been told about the trans community in the last 10 years through the lens of this is being told to us by people who want to demonize this group of people. And the idea that there's trans activists running around doing terrible things, where are they? I remember Dads Against Justice or whatever they called, like climbing up bridges. I saw Palestine Action people attacking police officers with a fucking big stick or whatever it was. I've seen Extinction Rebellion. Just Stop Oil. I've seen Extinction Rebellion just doing stunts. I saw then the offshoot from that, Just Stop Oil. I saw them climbing on top of trains and gluing themselves to the ground. I saw them doing stuff that disrupted everyday life. What did trans people do? And here, I'm not saying that what those groups did was necessarily wrong, or they were trying to bring attention to their cause, but all the trans people I know are just really lovely and quiet and gentle and peaceful and don't want to go out, screaming and shouting. The trans people I met when I was at Pride a few weeks ago here in Durham are just really sad about the situation. They weren't running around going, let's burn the place down. Just wasn't in their nature. Maybe there are one or two who feel that way, but there's no groundswell of support. And the reason why they're going after trans people is because they're a minority of a minority. There's just not, they don't have the numbers. Everyone now knows a gay person. Pretty much everyone in this country now knows someone who's not white. We need to move the debate away from psychology. It's like gay communities did. It's biological. Yeah, but then you get the biological absolutists. So you can't win that way either. Jenny Robinson, the percentage of transgender people in the UK is 0.5%, and the percentage of Jewish people is 0.5%, yet one group is persecuted, the other is protected. Well, I don't know about Jewish people being protected. I mean, Jewish people have been stabbed in the last year for being Jewish. Muslims were stabbed last week in Edinburgh. Sorry, someone corrected me and said it was Edinburgh. I thought it was Glasgow. Up in Scotland, 5 Muslims stabbed for being Muslim. And yeah, I think we should be bringing this forward and talking about this. But time and time again, we see in the stats that if there is abuse or there's been a crime committed and it involves a trans person, 9 times out of 10 they're the victim. The public folk devil changes according to the whims of the media. The folk devil, I like that. In the 80s, it was single mothers who were held responsible for all of our problems. Yeah. The only Welsh person in the village. I met a trans woman when I was 18, and she educated me a lot about what she felt. Yeah, well, I'm sure she didn't feel like she should not be. She should be, shut out of public life and not allowed to use the loo. I remember stories about trans friends who suffer from urinary tract infections because they're holding it in so much and they don't go to the toilet when they go out, because if they go into the women's toilets, they might get attacked by a TERF. If they go into the men's toilets, they might get attacked by a cisgender man. Means testing for pensioners, says Diz. Yes, let's bring that on. So there's an article about Starmer's downfall that I wanted to mention. This is Chris Mason on the BBC, who's, I'm sure he's private school mafia. Oh, by the way, I have updated the private school mafia website, and I've actually added something to it. So I'll show you. I will show you, my friends, my furry friends. There we go. Private school mafia. 1,327 famous people and counting. So if we scroll down the list, this is the list of all the people in public life who went to private school or public school. There's a lot of them. There's a lot. We're still scrolling, but I'm only up to the Fs. Okay, here we go. Still scrolling. Here we go. And then it's got the school they went to and what their job is. And keep going. This is why I've got RSI on my fingers. It's coming onto this website and trying to update it when I find a new name to add to the list. But yes, we now have this. Ta-da! We have a contact form. So if there are any errors or any omissions, you can directly now add that to the private school mafia and have a look and say, hey, you missed someone, Graham. I'm sure I've missed quite a few. Let's try and get it up to 1,500 by the end of the year. But yeah, so is Chris Mason on here? I should check, shouldn't I? Chris Martin is on there. Chris Morris is on there, as in Christopher Morris from Day to Day. Chris Martin from Clocks band, whatever they're called. No, he's not. Well, let's look him up. Should we look him up, shall we? Chris Mason. We shall look him up. Journalist. Oh, he's younger than me. Oh my Christ! What the hell? Let's have a look. Married a primary school teacher. Following Laura Kunzberg announcement of her department. Why did Laura Kunzberg? She left and then she came back, didn't she, for that election last week? Career, broadcasting style. He attended. Oh, he went to a grammar school. Yeah. Grew up in Grassington, North Yorkshire. He went to a grammar school. Okay. Anyway, the reason why I bring up Chris Mason, he's written a big thing on the BBC website this morning. It's been published this morning. I don't know if he wrote it this morning. Probably wrote it last night. About Starmer's downfall. And he frames Starmer's fall as a loss of governing authority rather than a single trust-style market collapse or Boris Johnson-style scandal. Johnson, Truss and Starmer all reached a stage where their own MPs no longer believed that they could viably govern or lead them into the next election. And the early damage, look, this is Chris Mason, so take it with a pinch of salt because he's obviously got a little bit of bias to him. Early damage that he lists, he says the winter fuel payment, which was devastating for Starmer. I think that is, the freebies row, which, to be honest with you, looks a bit ridiculous in light of Farage's 5 million, but there you go. The Sue Gray briefing war, the public dysfunction inside number 10. And then we got the authority loss. The climb down on welfare changes showed that Labour MPs could force Downing Street to retreat. And then you had the Mandelson appointment to Washington as our ambassador for the UK. That was it. That was probably the point of no return for Keir Starmer. Really, really bad error of judgment appointing him. And he can say, "Oh, I didn't know this and I didn't know that," but he did know that Mandelson was known as the Prince of Darkness and he was up to some dodgy shit, and that he was friends with Jeffrey Epstein at a time when no one who had any connection with Jeffrey Epstein should really be in any kind of public office, not least the President of the United States. Anas Sarwar, from the Scottish Labour, the leader of Scottish Labour, publicly calling for Starmer to go in February, turned sort of private conversations up to that point into a bit more, open pressure against Starmer. And the May elections, I think that was it. That was the last blow. Labour MPs looked at that. They lost 1,500 seats, 1,500 decent councillors were yeeted out to be replaced by a lot of refuckers. And the MPs believed that Starmer was taking them votes. And like, if I mentioned this before, but if all things being equal, if Burnham had just sort of squeaked a victory in Makerfield, I'd just walk away. I'd just be like, nah, fuck it, leave Starmer in for now until someone better comes along. But Burnham absolutely monstered that election. He got 50% more votes than his nearest rival from Refuck. And you can talk about, they put a bad candidate in and whatever, but it doesn't matter who the candidates are for Refuck, really. The people who vote for Refuck, they're voting for Nigel Farage. They're not voting for the local MP. They're voting for Nigel Farage. And in this case, Nigel Farage came up short. Makerfield gave Burnham the route back to Parliament and therefore the leadership, and he's the best guy. He's the best guy and the available best person, actually. I don't want to be sexist. The best person available in Labour at the moment to take them forward into the next election. And you know what? The noises that he's making at the moment, I find quite encouraging. I really do. The little snippets of interviews I've seen of him, I'm sure he'll let us down. I know. Don't at me. But can I just have a few days? Just give me a few days of just not being disappointed by literally everything and everywhere all at once, because it's not very good for my mental health. All right. Can we just give him? Let's do a truce, can we? Yeah, you and me. Come here, right? We'll give him to the end of the year. All right. He's got to the end of the year to impress us. All right. Can we give him that? Can we, please? Otherwise, some days I am very tempted to just sack it all off. Just go and live on an island somewhere. Don't know where. But yes. And Martin Harrow, at Sony, we had a trans woman. She bravely addressed the entire studio when she came out, 150 people, very brave. And she was quite shy. Total support from everyone, full respect. That's good. Trans Daylight M, we had a trans lecturer who's cool as fuck. She will come out for a beer with us after classes. Yeah. Count of Darkness, Graham. Well, that's what me and Jenny says that. Yeah, that's what me and Mike called him, wasn't it? Can I remind everyone that the state pension accounts for 58% of the DWP budget? Yeah, it's the long-term sick, disabled, and single-parent families who are constantly targeted. Yeah. Okay, so we do mention this on this channel, don't we? We say, well, if you're going to go after anything, pensions, means test them. Can't argue against it. If you're earning 50 grand a year for sitting on your fucking arse, and you're getting money on top of that from the state, come on. I work for that money. I deserve to be able to buy a brand new car every 6 months. The DWP have an AA agent that can query lots of different services and access to banking records. That's why you said you gave him the benefit of the doubt. Still better than Corbyn, lol. I gave Corbyn the benefit of the doubt until the bloody referendum, when I was like, where is he? Where is he? Where is he? We refused to share a bloody platform with what's his name, the dickhead, Cameron. No, I mean, come on. Play the game, mate. Play the game. Starmer just couldn't not say stupid things, so Starmer just couldn't not say stupid things. I mean, yeah, look, I'm sure we'll pick over the carcass of Starmer's time as Prime Minister more over the next few weeks, but he fucked up. It's nothing personal. I supported Starmer to be leader. I voted for him. I voted for Labour in the last election. I just, yeah, I'll give you a bit of rope before you let me down too much, and then at that point I'm like, ah. But there are people who will not give Burnham a chance at all, But yeah, just just to say, from inside Labour, there was real panic about Starmer leading them into the next election, because they can read the poll. There's loyalty will take you so far, but this is politics. And one thing that I do like about Starmer is he just looked at the poll numbers. People said, look, you can't win the next election. And he went, okay. And he fucking stood down. Hats off to him. Stood down as Prime Minister, not just as leader of Labour, but he stood down as Prime Minister. Utmost respect for doing that at this point, when there was someone else who could take the job. I didn't want him to do it 2 months ago, because Andy Burnham couldn't have run, and we would have ended up with Wes fucking Streeton or someone. So yeah. My friend got a phone call from the DWP asking why she spent £200 at Christmas. Fucking hell. It's ridiculous, isn't it? It's ridiculous. My gut instinct from the beginning was that the previous leader was inserted by the Conservatives as a poison pill to Labour. But what do I know? I'm just a dirty immigrant. Paulie Donkey, I couldn't agree more. I met up with a friend of mine who's a Labour voter, Labour member, in Bogus, and we had a drink together when the result came through. And I just said, we both said, well, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Cheers. Because you have to give them at least, give them a go, see how it turns out. Did not turn out very well. But yeah, so Labour NEC has set out the leadership timetable. The nominations opening on the 1st of July. Anyone in Labour they need 81 nominations to be able to run, and I don't think that any other candidate is going to get 81 nominations. If he's the only candidate to clear the MP and affiliate organisations thresholds, he could become Labour leader on the 17th of July, which I do think he will definitely be. He needs a union affiliate backing or CLP support. And Starmer says he'll stay in post to ensure an orderly transition and minimise disruption, which is fine. We don't need a deputy prime minister standing up or someone in the interim for just a couple of weeks. There's no point. And Burnham is expected to give a major speech next week setting out his themes for government, which should be exciting, and we can pick that apart. And the immediate wash points are going to be his new chief of staff, who, I'm getting good reports about. He is on the private school mafia list, but there are some people on there who are really like, Vic Mail is on the list, for Christ's sake. Vic Mail and Amano Iannucci and Stuart Lee. Some of them are all right. But yeah, who he's going to choose as Chancellor, who he's going to choose as Home Secretary, Immigration Minister, and whether he moves parts of Number 10's operation to Manchester, which story we covered yesterday, which I quite like. Okay, should we crack on with what else is going on in the world? We've got in the UK at the moment, UK heat wave, hottest ever June temperature was recorded yesterday, 36.7 degrees Celsius in Somerset. The UK HSA has extended its red heat health alert to 11 p.m. today, and the Met Office also extended its red alert to southeast England. Tint Vissel Moor near Glossop has burnt for more than 24 hours, affecting moorland and woodland, and the Woodhead Pass between the A57 at Hollingworth and the A16 616 at Flausch has been closed. Smoke and ash have been reported across Greater Manchester, including Bolton, Bury, Oldham, Rochdale, and Derbyshire fire services said the ground tinder is dry, and warned that campfires, barbecues, or discarded cigarettes could escalate into major incidents. Yeah. So yeah, and then we've got the story across Europe. I mean, the Western European heat wave that we're living through right now is the most severe and widespread ever recorded in human history. And I know that you say since records began, and they'll give a year like 1947 or 1842, whatever it is, right? But the reality is, if there had been these kind of just insane temperatures, it would have come across in the archaeological records. We'll be able to say, oh yeah, that year was particularly bad. People would have written about it. People would have written about people just getting sunburn and dying, and old people dying everywhere in their thatched cottages. I saw a video where it was an Italian woman talking about how hot it is in the UK and how our homes aren't equipped to deal with this heat. And she talks about there being carpet in every room, which I didn't really think about. But yeah, if you go into a house in Spain, they don't have carpets in every fucking room. That would be mad, Like me having carpets on the floor in Bocas in Panama. You just wouldn't. You have a wooden floor or a stone floor, and you have rugs put down. Tint whistle. California man. Taint whistle. But yeah, this is insane. A comparable heat wave would have been 2 degrees colder in 2003, and importantly, listen up, gams who keep going on about 1970 fucking 6, 3.5 degrees C colder. It was 3.5 degrees colder in 1976 than it is now. Almost half of Europe's 650 largest cities are experiencing their worst recorded heat stress when humidity is included. Sweltering nighttime temperatures are now 100 times more likely than they were. 100 times more likely. 100 times more likely than they were in 2003. And yesterday, 100 million people across Europe faced temperatures above 35 degrees. With some temperatures going higher than they are in the Sahara Desert. And it's a different type of heat. It's a different type of heat in the UK. The humidity changes things. What's this? Why are people calling each other twats? Don't call each other twats. What's this? Why are you fighting? Don't fight in the chat. Be nice. Or you know what will happen. 30.6 degrees indoors here, says Richard. My IBS also decided to make an appearance yesterday with the effect kicking into the night. Oh, I'm sorry, mate. Feel fine, albeit with a bit of a heat headache. Sorry, man. As of last December, the DWP has significant fresh powers to compel banks and other financial institutions to provide information to help verify claimants' eligibility and entitlement to benefits. Yeah, you know, they spend more on trying to clamp down on benefit cheats than they actually spend on benefit cheats. Once the AMOC fails, we will have seasonal flooring, tiles in the summer and carpets in the winter, says SG. What, like our tyres on the, having winter tyres on the car? Jesus. Our doors and windows are not rated to this heat. Everest and Safestyle are inundated with calls about doors and windows melting and not shutting. Yeah. Sphere Lance has been timed out by Diz. Don't be fighting. I'm sorry there was a fight starting on in the chat there and I didn't see it because I was reading my notes. Please don't kick off. Please be nice. Be nice. Don't be having fights or Diz will sort you out. So listen, the other stories that I want to mention as well, obviously, we can talk about how hot it is till the cows come home, and we will. By the way, this should break this weekend. We've already had a thunderstorm here this morning here in Dorms that cooled down things a bit. It should. We're looking at rain on Saturday and on Sunday, so hopefully the heat will come down. Good morning, folks. Still warm, but relief on the weekend, I think. Please don't try and kick, because it's very difficult to have a conversation that isn't a nice one in the chat. Like if you want to have a debate, you want to have a full-on debate about something in the chat, it's not going to work. I'm sorry to say, but also don't insult people. Don't call people names. Okay, if you call people's names, we will mute you. We will boot you. Worst PM of Boris Johnson versus Jeremy Clarkson. Jeremy Clarkson? Boris Johnson, because he actually was Prime Minister, whereas Jeremy Clarkson wasn't. Plus, Jeremy Clarkson was a Remainer. There's that. But he's a gobshite. It is possible for Remainers to be gobshites. Not all Remainers are good people or nice people or decent people. In fact, there are some people who voted for Brexit who are all right. They're not all I think now, 10 years on, if you're still suckling from Nigel Farage's teat of disinformation and lies and griftery, then it's time to pack that in. It's time to pack that in. Come on. Windows shut, curtains closed, stop to see hot air coming in. It's normal practice in naturally hot countries. That is true. I've worked it out. The rest of the thunder was stolen by the transies who have hidden it. Anyway, we've got a story here about the Russia and the Balkans and Poland. Western sources and two NATO eastern flank countries say that Russia may be preparing for provocation against the Baltic states, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, or Poland. Latvian intelligence says the concern is hybrid missiles, drones, or the signals designed to intimidate countries that are supporting Ukraine. The same report says that Russia is not thought capable of opening a second front, but the warning comes as Russia's advance in Ukraine has completely stalled. The Ukrainians have been bombing Moscow and fuel depots all over the country, and they've been shutting off access to Crimea. It does look like at the moment Ukraine absolutely has the upper hand in this conflict, and there was a Russian blogger yesterday who did a video, soldier who said that Putin needs to take control of this situation. So the worry is when a fascist like Putin is pushed into a corner, they tend to lash out and do horrible things. You saw what he did to his busy mate Prigozhin, blew him out the fucking air in a plane. Leader of Wagner. This guy has no qualms about violence, using real state violence to kill again. He murdered his major opposition, Navalny. The warning comes as Russia is entering. I mean, they're already talking about having peace talks for the first time ever, really. But Ukraine is like, we're not interested in negotiating. Get the fuck out of our country, which is fair enough. This is the evidence on this, whether they are going to give up and attack Poland and the Baltic states in some way. the evidence is thinner than the pre-invasion intelligence from before the invasion in February 2022. There's a summit. There's a NATO summit coming up next month, which is going to be an interesting one because obviously Trump doesn't give a shit about NATO. His little familiars like what's that little twat called? All of them, JD Vance and Marco Rubio and all that. They don't care about NATO. It's not important to them. They're just there to make loads of money. Vegan Elite, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. Belarus may be forced to enter the war by Russia. Well, Belarus were supplying comms for the drones that were going into Ukraine, and Ukraine gave them an ultimatum of 5 days to get rid of these repeater stations or whatever it is. These radio stations that allow the radio contact with the drones. They actually took them all offline within 3 days. So obviously, Ukraine's got a bit of muscle now that it didn't have before. It's doing really, really well. I mean, look, I'm not naive to think that the war's going to be over tomorrow, and I don't. I make a policy of not blowing smoke up your arse and doing stupid thumbnails saying, Putin's going to die. Oh my God. I don't do the stuff where Trump's like, his worst humiliation yet. What? You can't humiliate a man who has no shame. Stop it. Stop doing these thumbnails. Oh, Trump absolutely monstered by John Oliver. Well, John Oliver made a joke. Cool. Whole article about it. John Oliver made a funny joke about Donald Trump. Oh, that's it. It's over. It's over for Trump. It's over for Putin. It's over for Netanyahu. Someone made a joke about them. I try not to do that. So I try to keep my feet on the ground. Been to Ukraine a couple of times. Actually, I've been there 3 times now in my life. Last time I was there talking to Ukrainian police officer, and he was saying that they reckon it's going. That was back in 2024, saying that he reckons this is going to go on till another 10 years, and it might do. It might do. The person who takes over from Putin, even if he does cark it or get thrown out a window or whatever happens, he might not. He might. His successor might just keep the war going because there's no way out of it without the whole of the Soviet Union, the former Soviet Union of Russia, Republic of Russia, collapsing. Don't forget Dagestan, Chechnya, South Ossetia, Abkhazia. These are regions where conceivably they'll say, no, we're not going to do this anymore. Don't want to be part of this country. It's crazy. Stop doing crazy things. Lay down, Diz, says Martin Harrow. Clarkson was Remainer because he understands cars and wind cars. Thank you very much to Regan Elise and to Martin Harrow and to Maggie Pye. And it gives me great pleasure to press the button for confetti. Indeed. Pride was cancelled because we're too hot. Sadly, any measures taken against the rising temperature are sticking plasters when we can't do anything to stop the rapacious behaviour of the fossil fuel industry and their billionaire sponsors. Yeah, Aqua Dave. I mean, we can do more, but I mean, look, the more we spend on the green revolution in this country, the more we spend on wind turbines and solar panels, and the more we transition away from fossil fuels, the less power they'll have over us. It's as simple as that. It's like not believing. It's like not being scared of Pennywise the clown. Just stop being scared. That's all right. Or saying that you're not scared of Freddy Krueger. He just disappears. He just goes disappears into a bad special effects. Special effect, even. Anyway, got to mention about the horrific earthquakes in Venezuela, which struck yesterday. Oh, well, it was a Wednesday evening, wasn't it? Late for us in Wednesday evening. It was about 4 o'clock or something. It was about 6 o'clock, wasn't it? In Venezuela at the time, and a lot of families were around for. It was a holiday, so they were in their homes having dinner, and then this earthquake struck. The first was 7.2 on the moment magnitude scale, and the second one was even bigger at 7.5. And so far, There's been over 300 people reported dead. That may well go up. This has been the strongest quake in Venezuela for over 100 years. In fact, it's the strongest quake since 1900. That was the last quake of this size. There's been about 30 aftershocks. People are being advised to avoid damaged building. Silver lining on this, the smaller quake took place first. People were awake. Quakes are generally more dangerous when people are asleep in bed and they strike at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, because you sort of wake up in the quake and you're like, oh God, and you're a bit discombobulated, you don't know what to do. You're not wearing your clothes, you're in bare feet. At least, when there's a quake and you're sitting down having dinner with your family, you get the fuck out the house. So a lot of people did manage to get out of the building before the second quake came, and that, took a lot of buildings that were already damaged in the first quake and flattened them. It was only 40 seconds. It's only 40 seconds between the quakes. So yeah, and as someone who's been in quite a few earthquakes in my life, they are genuinely fucking terrifying. Genuinely terrifying. But this is obviously something that countries like Venezuela have to deal with, and it's one, I mean, we go on about this country, especially England, as being a pain in the arse, but there are some good things about it. One of them is we don't have fucking earthquakes or volcanoes going off. Poor Venezuela, first Trump, then an earthquake. Some people just can't get a break. Yeah. Although Venezuela, since the oil embargo was lifted after the kidnapping of Maduro, they're doing all right at the moment in terms of they're getting their economy back on track. They were lining up to, they're in the process of doing it. They were lining up to try and get like a massive loan from the IMF, I think, that was supposed to come in to plug up the gap in their economy that they've got at the moment. But they have the potential to go great guns from this point forward. But this is kind of like, I think it was literally the day before they were negotiating for this massive loan to try and get themselves out of the shit. One good thing that we were talking about earlier in the year when we were talking about Trump's invasion of Iran, obviously that's made a lot of money for other oil producing countries that could get their oil out, like Venezuela, which wasn't selling much oil except to Russia with the Black Fleet. But under the new regime, it looks like, well, still the old regime, it's just got a different person in charge, but it looks like they'll be able to sell oil again. So it's really, really shit in Venezuela at the moment. The economy isn't doing well right now, but it's something that going forward, that the release of that, the being able to sell oil to more countries than just, they sold it to Cuba, they sold it to Russia, but that was about it. But apparently in the last few months, we didn't see this massive rise to $200, which a lot of experts predicted would happen for a barrel of oil. It didn't happen. And there was a good article in an interesting article. I don't know if it was good. I don't know whether it was good or evil. And morality aside, it was an interesting article on why it didn't happen. And one of the big factors was because the amount of oil that countries were importing just shrunk massively. It absolutely shrunk massively. And that's why it didn't go up. The highest the oil got was $120 a barrel, and then it went down to 116, and now it's gone way down because countries looked for other means. Now, good news. Places like China moved really quick towards pushing electric cars massively, right? And they reckon that just in those few months, right, from when the Strait of Hormuz was closed to now, we're talking about 1 million barrels of oil a day less are being imported into China. 1 million barrels a day less. That is an insane amount of oil. I mean, it's a big country. It's 1.4 trillion people. But that is a lot, right? Now, there's a bad thing here, which is they have brought a lot of their coal-fueled power stations back online or ramped up production of energy in those power stations, which isn't great. However, that transition for the cars, that transition for a lot of industry away from oil, away from gas, is significant, and this could be this has been repeated all over the world, and they reckon that we're looking at there's 800 million fewer barrels of oil were sold, were burnt effectively in the last few months than would have otherwise been burnt. 800 million barrels of oil less, that the pollutants of which are now in the atmosphere. And that's the reason the price didn't go up, because supply went down. If all things being equal, if this had happened 20 years ago, yeah, the price would have gone over 200 because there were no alternatives. You had to get oil. You needed oil to get your economy still going, but we didn't. We can still provide a fuckload of our energy needs through renewables and other sources. Obviously, we do make a lot of energy through gas. Chaotic neutral news. Yeah. Venezuela was just, it was about recovering from Trump and they get an earthquake. What's the Spanish for fuck's sake? Cabron. I mean, that means like motherfucker. Well, it's their equivalent of motherfucker, but I think it actually comes from the word capri for goat, as in Capricorn, the sea goat. I think it means goat fucker. I think that's where the etymology. There's an etymologist out there. If there's a cunning linguist out there who can tell me, but you say cabron. When things go bad, you can go, oh, cabron. I get demonetized now for swearing in a foreign language. Don't you mean demand went down? Sorry, supply went down, demand went down. Yeah, sorry, Simon Smith. I said that wrong thing there. Sorry. It's too hot. It's gone up to that 23 degrees. That's the hottest it's ever been in this house, I think. Vronsky Beats, a small town boy, is a powerful song, often overlooked, is Erasure Hideaway. Vronsky Beats, was that Jimmy Somerville? Was he in Vronsky Beats? Am I making that up? And Erasure with Andy Bell and our friend Vince Clarke. Did I say about the time I met Vince Cable and accidentally called him Vince Clarke? Fun times. Anyway, so yeah, the Strait of Hormuz, Iran has rejected a UN-backed plan to evacuate ships through the Strait of Hormuz. The plan, backed by Oman, proposed temporary shipping lanes to move vessels trapped by the crisis. And Iran's Revolutionary Guard said traffic outside official routes was prohibited, in coordination with the IRGC. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard, whatever it's called, Navy was mandatory. A pre-existing route remains impassable because of the threat of mines. This dispute is complicated last week's US-Iran memorandum, under which Tehran said it would make efforts to restore freedom of navigation. Now, there's another knock-on effect of this as well, the shutting of the Strait of Hormuz. And why, Saudi Arabia and Dubai are like, we will pay whatever it takes to get this stuff out, because they know that the longer they leave it, the more countries are going to move away. Governments around the world are going to move away from fossil fuels, and that fucks them, because it means demand goes down, supply goes down, demand goes down at the same time. Get it right, Graham. But there is an imperative for the likes of the UAE to get that strait open, but also the UAE has left OPEC, and this might be the same as Britain leaving the EU, and it might not turn out that well for them. But that the cartel OPEC is there to keep the prices high, and the UAE is just going to say fuck this, and they're gonna flood the market as soon as they can get their ships out. They're going to flood the market. But we need to talk about Trump's algae problem. Because he's got this algae problem in his reflecting pond. I don't want to talk about that because it's boring. But I want to talk about the algae problems, the other two algae problems that he's having, right? One of them is the fact that algae isn't just in the reflecting pool. It's everywhere. It's everywhere all over the world all at once because of warmer waters and more runoff from nitrates from farming and things like that. Algae fucking love this. They're like, warm water, nitrates, yum, 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 yum. And what they do is they block off the oxygen for fish in the water. They can block off the access to the sun, and these fish can't breathe. They suffocate under this algae. And it's too much algae for the stuff that eats algae to actually get through. And this is exacerbated by pollution, water pollution, and climate change. Massively. But there's another problem with algae as well. So, anyone spent any time on cargo ships? Anyone? Me? Okay. So you've got these cargo ships that have, that have been sitting there in the water, in the Gulf, in the Persian Gulf for 3 months now. And normally they're moving about. And when you're moving in the ship, it tends to get the stuff off the bottom of the ship because you're moving quite fast. You move at 20 knots, right, through the water. And you stay in port for a couple of days and then off you go. But they've been sitting out at anchor for 3 months. You get spoiling on the bottom of the ship, barnacles and shit like that. And you need to send down divers to scrape it off. So getting this stuff back online, it's going to take a while. And I think there might be a bit of a shock later this year when finally, if ever, they get the Strait of Hormuz open again. They scrape the barnacles off the bottom of the ship, they scrape all the algae off. All these, we're talking 1,000 ships here. We're talking each ship is going to take a team of divers at least a day to scrape all the shit off the bottom of these boats. Even when it all goes back to normal, if demand has gone down that much, 800 million barrels demand has gone down by 800 million. I mean, this is really it could be. Please let it be. I don't want to get too hopeful because obviously we always do get let down, but it could be the beginning of the end of the oil empire, the oil cartels, the slimy oil salesmen who have been fucking this planet every which way but Sunday for the last 100-odd years. My yacht is stuck in Dubai. Is so what many people are saying. Make amphibians great again. Trump rages about a protester dressed as a frog. Yeah. I had to pick my son up from a drum and bass night. I got there 45 minutes early. By the time he came out, I was nearly punching my ears. Horrific. I made a joke that whenever I used to, my office in Dale Street in Liverpool before I moved to the Baltic Triangle, I shared it with rehearsal rooms. It was next door to a elevator recording studio, and it was slightly down the road from that. But it was a rehearsal room, so bands like the Zootons and the Rascals and a few little like Liverpool bands like that, Dead 60s, and that they would rehearse in these rehearsal rooms. And so there's always like bands coming in and out, and there was a notice board on the ground floor, and they would always have signs up for these bands saying bassist wanted, drummer wanted. We used to laugh about it. It was never lead singer, never lead guitar. Drum and bass is literally the people that are like, you can also be in the band. Hence the joke, what do you call someone who follows a band around? The drummer. Sorry to the drummers out there. Just make a little joke. What you do is awesome and very energetic. But yeah, quite funny. Let's take the two people that are like let's take them and let's make a whole music genre for the people who everyone wants to get into their band because no one wants to be the bassist, no one wants to be the drummer. They all want to be the lead singer. To be fair, there are no fish in the reflecting pond, but it's something that Trump could add in for a small fee. Trump fishing on that reflecting pond. Oh my days. I think they possibly should add them, but the reflecting pond needs ripping up, and they need to change how it works. And they probably need to not use water from the Potomac River. I think that's a huge problem because it's full of nitrates. Trump went on and on about his bloody pool yesterday and was rude about Khan and Burnham, the town mayor. Yeah, he called Burnham the town mayor, didn't he? What a twat. What a twatty twat. Anyway, so Reform UK, I want to mention this, they've got a plan targeting EU nationals. They're proposing to evict overseas nationals from social housing. Robert Generic says that the plan will not exempt EU citizens with settled status. What a fucker. Refuck also wants a migrant labour levy on employers hiring non-UK citizens. The 3 million group, the group that publishes in Limbo, says the plan would breach promises made to the EU citizens during Brexit and would undermine the withdrawal agreement protections. Affected EU nationals include people who have lived, worked, and raised families in Britain for years, if not decades. This is a major Brexit aftershock story. People who were told their rights were protected are now being directly targeted by a party which is currently polling near the top of UK politics. Although there have been some polls out since Andy Burnham is obviously going to be the leader of Labour, and this puts Labour ahead. Puts Labour ahead right now. Because don't forget, people really hate Farage. I know people really love him, but the majority of people really fucking hate him. Ryanair have been finally called out for their policy of splitting up families who are going on holiday together, so that children with anxiety just sit there crying next to a complete stranger, a strange man. Let's put little children next to strange men on a flight. Bastards. Anyway, so now they're going to provide some seats at the back of the plane for families so they can sit together. And then we've got the World Cup stories. So the Round Ball Earth Trophy, as we like to call it. 0-0 draw against Paraguay for Australia. They're in through to the last 32. Paraguay finished third in the group, but are almost certainly through on goal differences. On goal difference. I don't know why I pluralised that. And Scotland are very, very unlikely to get through to the next round now. Their goal difference is like -3 or something. I mean, they would really, really struggle to get through to the last 32. I think it's been given as a 5% chance. 5% chance, because it depends on how all the other teams do getting through, because they've done this really stupid thing this year where they've had 48 teams and they tried to whittle them down to 32. And that is difficult. What do we got now? Côte d'Ivoire reached the knockout stage for the first time. Other qualifiers also include Ecuador, Netherlands, Japan, Sweden. They're all through to the knockout stage, 32. And tonight's headline fixture is Norway versus France, which should be very interesting. Wimbledon. Apparently it's going to stay free to air on the BBC till at least 2033, which is good. The BBC first covered Wimbledon in 1927, so it's going to be 100 years, 99 years this year, 100 years next year. Serena Williams has taken a singles wild card after 4 years away from Wimbledon to play. She's 44 years old, and she's coming back to play, which is amazing. Well, Cristiano Ronaldo, the football player, he's like 39, isn't he? He's fucking old. And then Messi's 38, I think, something like that. Someone's going to correct me in the chat now. Ryanair, the British airline, would back reform considering how vile they are and boycotting any JCB branded as a result in Dyson. No, Ryanair did not back. I know they're shit, but they didn't back refuck at all. They didn't back the Brexit referendum at all. Indeed. It's all red meat for the Gams. Indeed. Novak Djokovic is he's now 39 and he's chasing a 25th Grand Slam singles title. It's really weird that some athletes just keep going. Like back in my day, it was like 26 years old, and then your talent just started sort of going off. Whereas, which happened to Cristiano Ronaldo. You know, he's a gobshite, by the way. He's an absolute fucking gobshite. He's been accused of some really horrific things. And he's got enough money to make those things, accusations of those things, go away. It's always a bit of a worry. Two flies playing football on a saucer. Next week, they're playing in the cup. Very good, Jenny Robinson. I like that. Very good. Very, very good. So we're going to go over to the papers very, very quickly. We've got Labour to free waves of killers and rapists early. Criminals guilty of most serious offences will now be released just halfway through the sentences. This is the Daily Mail taking something that isn't quite true and spinning it so that the people who read the Daily Mail, who are afraid of everything, freak out. We've got the Times, hundreds feared dead after double earthquake in Venezuela. We've got a wealth tax won't work, advisor tells Burnham. Andy Burnham's being urged by one of his most senior advisors to abandon plans for wealth taxes because they can be easily gamed and do not raise a significant amount of money. That's what our friend Phil keeps saying, isn't it? I'm doing a show with Phil at 1:00 today. Join us for the agenda. We'll be talking about the fact that our Prime Minister's just resigned. Public funding for royals will double in 3 years. We've also got The Guardian here degrading how did a US pilot avoid trial after strangling a woman in England. I have no idea, possibly because he was backed by Trump. I don't know. Venezuela earthquakes, thousands feared dead. Awful story there coming out of Venezuela. Experts blame climate crisis for Western Europe's worst ever heatwave. That shouldn't even be a headline. I mean, it should just be self-evident to anyone. Big bucks for an empty home. King will not move in after 369 million refurb. Yeah, I told you, it's already been done. It's not going to happen in the future. It's already been done. But I don't want it to move in. I want it to be open to the people so we can have a look around and we can make money out of it. Billionaire William is richer than his dad. Family to be given inflation-busting rise. That's not fair. Burnham to be given new taxpayer to give new tax powers to regional mayors. He will devolve business rates in a radical shake-up. That's a really, really good idea. Burnham tells friends he wants to free regions from the treasury. Fantastic, good. I'm all for a bit more of the old devolution. It's always good to me. And then what else have we got? We've got Heatwave UK 50-year record broken again. So there you go. We set another high. It's not a 50-year record. It was only a one-day record from the day before. I had to prioritize looking after the kids. Muses Matt Bellamy on splitting with his wife and the band's 10th album. I'm a billionaire, like an heir to the throne. The book stops here. Charles paid 30 million tax since becoming king. That's not much, is it? Considering how rich these fuckers are. My time playing in Burnham's Demon Eyes football team. From Liam Halligan. I don't even know what that means. Holly's last shot at a TV comeback. Famously, she jumped over she jumped the queue to see the dead queen. King will never live at the palace. Official residence will function as monarchy HQ. So there you go. Which is fair enough. I don't honestly, I couldn't. If he doesn't want to live there, don't make him live there. It's stupid. It means that you don't have to have all the royal protection and stuff. You can open it more to tourists. I'll make more money out of it. I like making money. Killers and rapists to be released early to ease crowded prisons. Killers, rapists, and sex offenders will be amongst 6,000 criminals freed from prison from September. So David Lammy is legal changes that mean criminals accused of serious offence will be released early for the first time to prevent jails running out of space. Why are they running out of space? Because of the Tories. But for a criminal jailed for 15 years for manslaughter or rape, that means they were freed after 7.5 years rather than 10. They're using the word freed here in a way that I don't think is very fair because go away. Because they're not actually freeing them. They're not actually freeing them. What they're doing is they're putting them under parole. So if they commit any more crimes, they go back inside, back in the nick. Charlie Boy has enough money. He could drop 5 million on cancer research, and he hasn't. Says a lot. Yeah. Song of the Siren, This Mortal Coil. Oh, the Cockatoo Twins. The Cockatoo Twins singing a song. Well, it's Elizabeth Fraser, isn't it? Singing a song written by Tim Buckley. She would go on to have a relationship with Jeff Buckley, Tim Buckley's son, who would also die young because Tim Buckley died young, and so did Jeff. And then sing Teardrop by Massive Attack. She did the vocals on that, which is a song all about grief. Two of the best songs ever of all time if you want to feel a certain way. Yeah. Songs of the Siren. I love Songs of the Siren. That was one of my Odyssey songs when I was traveling. Especially heading back from Cape Verde, from being in jail in Cape Verde and then getting subsequently stuck there for 5 weeks. Going back, that was my song. That was my song on frequently played on my iPod at the time. Anyway, so Britain, what stories? Give peas a chance. Harvests at risk as crops peak early in heat wave. Well, obviously it's going to affect crops, this kind of heat that plants are not used to. Roads closed to help traffic avoid deer. Oh dear. We've got Britain risks losing senior role in NATO. Britain could lose a senior role in NATO if it fails to increase defence spending. No, I really don't think that's the case, but whatever. Obama marriage, a mixed bag for Michelle. It's not been equal partnership. I don't know if it's been following divorce rumours. They were seen together the other day. A palace not fit for a king. Prickly heat is the cover of the Metro. Let's dive into the Financial Times. Can Britain build its own AI champion? I don't really know. I don't really care. Venture capitalists are getting weirder. Yes. Quake deaths, devastation in Venezuela. Awful news coming out of Caracas and its surrounds. We've got Apple blames shortages of chips for 20% price rise. Heatwave hits hospital. Lawyer shift in BHP case. Builders recoil at tariffs. Iran halts fleeing tankers. Japan investment push. Bayer win over weed killer. And Rome airport crisis. We've got Burnham must simplify complex tax code to boost growth, warns Haldane. Ex-Bank of England expert on the economy team. Spending cuts and pension shift urge. Business-friendly policy plea. I think he's probably going to go down that route. He doesn't seem like too much of a dickhead, but we'll see. SpaceX's green light for 25 billion bond sale is a clear sign of bubble territory. SpaceX's decision to launch a 25 billion dollar bond sale shortly after raising 86 billion from its record-breaking initial public offering is a clear sign that markets are entering bubble territory. Yeah. Do you need an expert to tell you that? I don't know. There's a guy surfing there with his watch on, which is probably a bit dangerous. I'll take my watch off if I was going to surf, just in case, you know. And then we've got Demon edges slow-moving Wall Street succession. JP Morgan's Jamie Demon. Can you believe his name is Demon? Has elevated two potential candidates to succeed him as chief executive of the biggest US bank. What a bunch of bankers. Disturbed do a great cover of Sound of Silence. I'm sure I saw Typo Negative once at the Manchester Academy, and they did a cover of the Smiths' Shoplifters of the World Unite. I think it was definitely a Smiths cover. That was boss. Jenny I, but the singer is a twat, unfortunately. I saw last year at Glastonbury. I saw both Olivia Rodrigo and Gracie Abrams, and they both did covers of Cure songs. In fact, Olivia Rodrigo went one step further and actually brought out Robert Smith from The Cure onto the stage to sing the song with her. There you go. The singer is a twat. The singer is a twat. This is fake news. Jealous orange idiot starting rumours. Doesn't surprise me. My friend Robin Guthrie was in the Cockatoo Twins. Saw them many times. Fucking fantastic. I mean, Elizabeth Fraser's voice is just phenomenal. Cockatoo. Oh, I heard cockatoo. Cockatoo. I do like it when bands of different genres do covers of other bands' songs, or singers do covers of other, and takes that song in a different direction. Like Songs to the Siren on the Mortal Coil LP is very, very different to the Tim Buckley version, and you know, somewhat improved. I would say. I'd say that the cover of Mad World from Donnie Darko, which was like Christmas #1 in 2001. Great days. I think that was the cover version was better than the original Tears for Fears version, which is kind of weirdly poppy. It's like it's like you could dance to it, and the lyrics are really grim. But the best cover version of all time, hands down, is Hurt by Johnny Cash. Cover the Nine Inch Nails song from the Downward Spiral. Was it American 4? Was it? It was on. I don't know. It's his last album. He died a few months after filming the video with him and his wife. His wife died, and then he died. And what a song! And Trent Reznor has been on record to say it's not his song anymore. Sorry, it's not Trent Reznor's song. It's Johnny Cash's song. But what a video! What a song! Anyway, best cover version ever. We're coming up to 11 o'clock, so I'm going to round off the show now. We've got the confetti cannon set up, right? I've got it set up on here, right? Just one super chat in the next minute, and we can have the, because we only need one, and then it'll trigger the confetti, and Diz will be really excited. Johnny Chaz's song here. If he covers your song, it's his song. Johnny Cash's, not Chaz's, Cash's. But yeah, it wasn't written by Johnny Cash. I saw The Cure, and the gig happened to be their 20-year anniversary. We were treated to the whole first album as live as an encore. Wow, that's pretty cool. The early lineup of Sisters of the Mercy were a cover band. Well, the Beatles were a cover band. Beatles were a cover band. When they were playing in Hamburg, they were playing other people's song. Twist and Shout wasn't written by the Beatles. Cash, sleep deprivation is kicking in. It's all right. Yeah, I know what you meant. Speaking of the good stuff, B-52s are overlooked on how clever they write. Rock Lobster. Yeah. And Richard, just £2 super chat, just says, yay, which means we did it. And Martin Harrow says, go on then. That means we did it again. And before we go, we're going to have to just press the magic button. 3, 2, 1, confetti! Woo! Yay, we did it. So thank you, everyone, for being awesome and lovely and not kicking off in the chat too much, I don't think. Obviously, if one of the regulars is kicking off, that's not great. But if you're still watching, please come back. Just don't call people names. Don't get so wound up. We can't agree on everything. But I know, because we've spent the last few years together, a lot of us, I know we agree on like 99% of things. And I know we all have different priorities, we all have a different experience, etc., etc. But please, just we need to get along. We need to get along. Or there is no hope. So thank you for watching. Give us a like if you liked it. If you didn't like it, give it a dislike. I don't care. It's all interaction. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. You can join the chat, but don't be a troll. And hit the bell notification icon when we go live next, which is going to be at 1 o'clock today. Me and Phil are going to be doing a show of the agenda, and if you join us for that, that'll be hilarious and sexy. So please join us at 1 o'clock for you hilarious, sexy people for the agenda. And we'll be talking about Andy Burnham, we'll be talking about Keir Starmer, and what next for Labour, what next for the government of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. So until then, just want to say thank you very much for watching. Thanks for the super chats, and hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.